action. All right, we're here. Well, happy hump day or Wednesday or Mierkules or whatever you call the middle of the week, which is when we're recording this.
Yep.
Although all of our podcast folks know that it is appointment listening.
You
and
can
they
watch
could be
any day that you would like.
That's right. Audio, video, have such a good day. This is brand new. In fact, you might be like, how did I stumble upon these women and what are they all about? Have such a good day is our new podcast. I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Heather Frank.
And we decided to make a show, not only for ourselves, but for our community that we think could share a lot of the, everyday struggles, the highs and the lows, the humor and the irony.
The laughter.
The laughter, there are some tears.
The good times, the bad.
Very. Some really bad times. But hey, that's adult life. You know where we're coming from.
Adulting is hard.
Yeah, so the idea is to make this all a little bit more fun and get in this boat together. We're going to have cool and funny and disturbing topics sometimes because, again, we want to keep it real. The internet, the entertainment world, life in general, really.
The internet is disturbing sometimes.
It's the most disturbing place. It's
in
more
the
disturbing
world.
than real life, at least for me. And that's a good thing.
No, this is true. This is true.
It's nice to be in my apartment where we're shooting this for all of our patrons who are watching the video. And by the way,
our setup?
Thank you so much for being patrons.
Yeah. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah. It's so cool to have a bunch of people on board. But
let us help you have such a good day. That's kind of what we're, that's our whole point here.
Yeah, we are not trained professionals, but you know what? We're your friends.
And we have a good time together. So we're thinking we could probably
spread the
love. Exactly.
Yeah, and save us from ourselves.
Yeah. And maybe we'll learn something in the process.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
Exactly. Heather, I before we get into our longer show topics, I just have to say, and I say this as somebody who does not have a housekeeper in her apartment just
Clearly.
because I'm saving money. Yeah, exactly. So I do my best, but I'm always sort of like, all right, I'll vacuum. I'm never like happy about doing it, and sometimes I lapse a little too much. My vacuum broke yesterday, and it's this really nice, like fancy vacuum that I got at Target.
Miele?
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
It's well, I don't know. I don't remember the name.
Fancy.
It kind of looks like a robot.
Yeah.
And it works
Yeah,
really
yeah.
well. Yeah. So.
Okay,
and how do you fix a vacuum?
Actually, I have a question for you.
What?
You always see those little mom and pop shops that are like vacuum repair shop. You know
Gosh,
what I
you're
mean?
right. Maybe that should be like a investigative report for Have Such a Good Day. It's like,
I love that.
take my vacuum in because it's in I know what happened. Like something got sucked in there and now the wheels don't, or the whole thing doesn't work.
There's got to be, there's some kind of app or something that helps like fix these types of.
There's probably a task rabbit who
appliances.
can come and fix my vacuum.
Totally. But I really think that you should look into one of these mom and pop shops because a lot of them have gone out of business. You know that.
It's true. As
support
soon as you
local
said
businesses,
that,
Sarah.
Well, I think there's a great place near me called Lincoln Hardware. It's just an old school hardware store.
Yeah.
You know the kind.
Oh yeah, I love those.
Yeah. And they kind of just like have one of everything. Like whatever you want, they've got one.
I love to browse places like that.
Yeah. So maybe I should go in there and be like,
You should.
can you fix my vacuum cleaner? And I bet they would.
And if not, they would know someone like a neighbor or like
Yeah.
an old friend.
Yeah. Fred down the
Yeah.
block.
Fred or Sam or
The
Joe,
vacuum guy.
one of those guys.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Well, anyway, so that's what happened to me. So maybe there's a silver lining in the fact that my vacuum died because I'll make some good friends on Lincoln Boulevard.
There's always a silver lining. I want to know if there's a silver lining for my problem that I had this week. This has been an ongoing thing. It's not like it just happened, but there is a friend. I won't call it a friend. An
Acquaintance?
An enemy, I guess.
An enemy.
Or maybe a
Somebody who is not your friend.
Exactly.
Okay.
Who I had played a few games of Words with Friends. I'm a big Words with Friends player. I play
Which for anybody who's not familiar, it's Scrabble, but internet game, and
It's on my phone.
You play your friends, and
I have probably at least 25 games going at one time. It's pretty crazy. I'm a really good Scrabble player, by the way. Like, it's in my blood. It's crazy. I don't know why I'm such a good Scrabble player, but I just am.
You're a vocabulary person.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like words, and
yeah,
I get into it. But there's one person who they added me to play some games back a while back. Mm-hmm. He did something that was shitty.
Sure.
And
this is the internet, after all. People are annoying.
And it's like, I don't want him. He's not part of my family. Most of the people I play Onwards with Friends are like my closest and dearest family and friends. And so my
cat's about to jump up on the counter,
our camera,
and it's possible. Sam,
Tammy,
see video.
Tam.
Audio people don't understand.
Oh, there he goes.
There
okay,
he goes.
All right, good.
Bad Tam.
There, you saw him. He just went off camera. So anyway, this guy,
Words with Friends.
Yeah,
you play it a lot.
Friends.
What's the deal?
The problem is that I have done a lot of research on this. I've read message boards. Other people have been complaining about this. I've even sent emails to Zynga about it. The issue is you can block them, but what that doesn't do is take their profile out of your leaderboard. So anytime you go in to like start a new game with someone, or you go to your leaderboard to see like, oh man, I'm beating everybody on this, you see you see his profile picture, and you see that he's still in your world. And so it just like, here's my thing.
Okay.
I don't understand how hard is it to create? Why doesn't Zynga create an option to delete? Most other apps and websites have the option to delete.
Heather, I love you.
Drives me crazy.
I love you so much. And this is one of those things where I'm like, this is exactly the sort of thing where you're like, I have written emails to Zynga, okay? This is not possible. I have 25 games going. Fix your app. And,
it's such a basic thing.
Well, I agree with you. And in fact, I think maybe we should open it up if anybody's listening to this or watching our video version for the $1 a month patrons who says,
yes, please,
Heather,
help me.
I've got a workaround for you. I will save you. Please let us know. hi@havesuchagoodday.com would be probably the best.
Email me, save me from my Words with Friends demise.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not blocking. Blocking doesn't count.
Well,
this is deleting someone from your app.
In all fairness, and I know that this is like a great conversation for a future show that we can get into in a little bit more depth, but it's not even really, I'm not even really talking about like the etiquette of the internet, but more of somebody who you're like, I don't like this person. I don't want to see their face. Like, it's like borderline upsetting me.
Yep.
Those are things that we're trying to dodge constantly because all of our information is everywhere.
Yeah.
You have to try not to run into somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In the greater kind of,
and especially with
society.
something like that where it's like, it's very intimate. It's like I play it at night usually when I'm done with work, and I chat with these people, and it's like, it's weird to be reminded of that person all the time. That's what I don't like.
Well, I think a lot of, Twitter comes to mind. It's like I have not all female, but most of the time, female friends who have been harassed or for whatever reason, it's like that person is a trigger. I gotta like, how does that, never surface again?
Yep.
And it's not that easy, turns out.
It's not.
That happens to me every so often on Facebook. Like I'll see a photo of someone where it's like, not even like an enemy, but just someone where I'm like, oh, what? Oh yeah.
Facebook
that's
is
a memory or, something where it's like,
it's always a culprit.
triggery.
Hey, Sarah,
what's that?
I really want to know, like, what did you do last night after we got offline?
Okay. I'm glad you asked, Heather. In fact, I have a couple of props. So everybody just hold on a second while I grab them. Very high class set we have going here in my
very
living
high
room.
class.
Hey, but everybody who watches Daily Tech News Show that might be watching our show right now. Last week we were in Heather's kitchen, and this week we're in my living room, which is actually something that nobody's ever seen before, at least in that community. So if you're a crossover fan, great, good to have you, and welcome to the rest of my house.
And we did this.
I promise not to do this from the bathroom ever.
Maybe we did this all ourselves too, which is kind of cool. It feels good.
We did. So you asked what I did last night.
I want to know.
Well, I got myself a little delivery. Not of ramen, mind you, which is usually what I get from delivery if it's not a poke bowl. But I got Island Minis. What are they? Is it chewing gum? No, Heather,
Mints?
it isn't. Is it mints? It's marijuana joints.
It's the cutest little, the packaging is incredible. Look at the little palm trees on the side.
It says, to good friends and great adventures on the inside of the
love
box,
that.
which can actually be a mint box afterwards.
Actually,
You
that
can
could
save it.
that almost looks like a have such a good day box.
It really does. I know.
Palm trees, sunshine,
Yeah.
ocean.
Do you guys want mint boxes? We'll make them. Like at a merch store, we'll do it. Anyway, so the reason that I'm bringing this up is because, so over the weekend, I won't name names. Over the weekend, I'm hanging out with some friends and somebody, everybody's got the dosist pens now. This is California. So depending on where you live, you might be more or less used to the idea of legalization of marijuana. California is one of those states. Over the weekend, a friend of mine, it's kind of like everybody has it now. And I'm like, so you guys all got your medical marijuana cards? Like some of you don't even seem like you really would do that.
Sure.
And everyone was like, no, sir, it's legal. And I'm like, well, yeah, but you have to have like a license or something. And they're like, no, it's recreationally legal and it has been since February. I'm like, was I asleep?
No, it's like you knew the news, but you didn't like.
I just always thought that like, okay, maybe you don't need a medical condition, but you still need a license of some kind. Turns out the driver's license is all you need because you just need to be 21 or older.
You just get heavily taxed. Like I have my license, but I get like 10% less tax because I have it. I don't know if it's 10%, but it's like half, I think.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so in the name of science and technology, obviously, I was like, all right, if that's really true, I'm just going to try to like buy something online. I went to Eaze because it's the first thing that came to my mind. There's billboards all over Los Angeles, where Heather and I both live for Eaze. So it's like the advertising is working, I guess, in this sense. And that's eaze.com. And I tried to order some stuff, which is what I have here.
It's not an official ad of the show.
No, God, no. There are lots of marijuana delivery places. And, it was like you have to upload your driver's license to prove that you're 21 to like get in the system, which I did. Like 10 minutes later, I got a text being like, you're approved. Go ahead and buy your stuff. Then I did. And, just like put in my bank information. And then I got like a text saying, your driver's like 15 minutes away. Where I'm like, oh my goodness. This is
incredible.
actually faster than getting food.
It's incredible.
And then he came and was like, welcome. We see that you're a new customer. And that was the end of it.
That is so dope.
You're waiting to do that.
I swear the next step is that person delivers you that and ramen at the same time.
Yeah.
And they sync up. And
that would be great.
You get like a whole package, just one delivery.
I guess you'd have to, any place that does like grocery delivery, are we going to have a marijuana corner, like the produce area of Whole Foods one day?
Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like you do 2 pickups, like do Postmates or any of those apps do that where it's like, I want like a dessert from here and I want my dinner from here.
Just like more of like an actual like delivery service. I don't know.
Anyway.
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Let's start this business. Let's do it.
Yeah.
On top of everything else we're doing.
So anyway, again, in the name of tech and science, I can now tell everybody who cares that yes, at least in my area of the world, it took less than 30 minutes to have marijuana delivered to me, which included vetting me.
It's incredible.
And looking at my background.
I mean, the way some things are so fast and efficient and other things are so damn slow. I mean, it's really impressive. I'm still going to walk the 2 blocks to my dispensary.
Hey, support your local dispensary.
I know.
If you like the people working there.
It's all women. They're all very helpful. In fact, I usually stay there and rap with them for like at least a half an hour about something.
Like rap music?
No. Like rap, like we'll talk about like CBD.
Rap
and
about
like
the world.
Yeah, and I'll be like, I'll talk about my ailments and they'll be like, they'll give me some anecdotes and it's pretty cool. But speaking of my place in my neighborhood, 2 blocks away, is right next door conveniently to my favorite coffee shop, the Blue Bottle.
Yep. Love it. Love that Blue Bottle. And the one near you is really cute.
It is really cute. And I'm in this weird thing right now. I'm in the process of trying to figure out what to do next I have this Nespresso machine. And you have to go through a specific recycling program to recycle the pods, and
Oh,
it
really?
just irks me. Yeah, because and then part of me is like so suspicious of it. Like you put it in a special bag. You can either bring it to an espresso like location, or you have to bring it to a UPS store, which is so random.
Do
Thankfully,
they
I have
reuse
one.
the pods?
Here's the
'Cause
problem.
why else
The
would
reason
UPS?
why you can't recycle them is they have the coffee grounds inside. And so I'm
But I mean, they might like melt on the plastic.
I'm suspect because I'm like, well, they'll probably end up throwing them in the garbage. I don't know. I just don't believe that they're really recycling them. And at the
Heather,
end
this
of the
is
day,
an investigative report. That
I know, another one.
You're on the case
vacuum.
for. This is your
Nespresso pods.
This is this is your Peabody Award to come.
It's one of my life goals for sure.
Let's find out what's going on at the Nespresso Recycling Center. Like, first of all, I didn't know that, but I like a good Nespresso machine. But
It can
when
be
I'm
good.
when I'm like in a nice hotel
Sure.
room and you're like, yeah,
When you're
it's so
kind of
much
in a pinch,
easier.
yeah.
And it tastes really good.
It
for the
tastes
most
not
part.
bad for what it, because it kind of has that
Yeah.
espresso froth on the top, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah,
But
I think it does good stuff. But I'm not buying one of those things where I have to like recycle at a
No.
UPS store.
I'm very
not.
disappointed in this whole thing, and
Oh,
I'm kind of in
I'm
this
feeling
weird-
for you.
It's on my counter. It's collecting dust, and I what I've been doing, I'm in this habit now of going to Blue Bottle, which is a terrible habit, every day to get my coffee. But
It's a terrible habit because it's expensive.
Yes.
That's-
But what I do is that I know a lot of people that kind of hang there. There's so many regulars. It's kind of crazy, including Jake Gyllenhaal. But that's beside the point. And so I go there and it's a little like of a networking thing. And I feel like I go there and I kind of start my day out and I usually write some stuff. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that are behind the counter. I tip them graciously. I take pride in my tipping. I'm usually a very good tipper. I think about it. I
When you
care
say you
about,
take pride, it means you'll err on the side of generous.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Unless, like you had a good reason.
For sure.
Yeah.
I am struggling a little bit with this whole point of sale, like iPad kind of situation. I know this has been around for a while. This is not news. But I think what bothers me is how calculated and kind of presumptuous the whole thing is. It's like the principle and the way they do it and they flip it around. And then, like I said, I'm kind of buddies with some of the baristas. And so I tip them most days. So if you think you pay $4.50 for a cappuccino, you tip $1 because if you don't tip $1, you have to scroll to the next screen and it gets more, and everyone's waiting for you.
It makes it less convenient to be like, let me tip
obviously.
less.
Yeah,
sure.
And so there's mornings lately where I'm like, I'm already paying $4.50 for, $1 for like 4 sips. Pretty much. I mean, you're looking at like a very expensive cup of coffee. And so I don't know. I think it's just sort of an interesting thing. I want to know how you feel about it. I think for me, it's the principle, and it makes me not want to tip them sometimes because I'm sort of like a little irked by it.
I know what you're talking about. In fact, I told the story on an episode of DGNS months ago, so forgive me if anyone's heard it before, but I've got a great coffee shop near me. I don't want to name names again because I really like this coffee shop and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but they have a point of sale machine. It's not Square, but it's some iPad-based thing, and Square being one of the pay models. And they have the default tip set to 25%. Now, I only ever go in there and get a coffee when I'm on my way to the gym. Like, I have my whole thing. And it's just a regular coffee. It's a drip. I want, like, easy and done, Little almond milk, good to go. And...
Sammy, get away from the camera.
Sam, seriously.
Tams.
You're really not bad. I'm so sorry.
No.
He's very
He's a good
confused. Just a little background on the other side of what you guys can see for the video, folks. There is a kitchen, and Sam has this very specific way he likes to jump up
on
above
the refrigerator,
the fridge, and we just happen to have put the camera right there. So he's like, "Why are you doing this to me?
You've ruined his life,
running me out of town." So the default is set to 25%. For a drip coffee, 25% is no. That's too much.
Yeah.
It's also like there's no service involved. I'm getting a cup of coffee and I'm leaving. So what I do sometimes is I just like deal with it because I hate the idea of being rude.
Totally, me too.
But sometimes I'm like, oh, let me go back in this program and like bring it down a little, because I don't want to like not give you a tip, but it's more like $1.
Sure. And I would like to see the statistics on how much baristas like take home has increased since this new system, because they must be making pretty good, especially at like a place like Blue Bottle that has,
and that's a very sort of high end, see and be
is.
seen version of a coffee shop, and
for sure.
they obviously vary a lot. But I love point of sale stuff. Anytime I can use Apple Pay, I do, because obviously I have an iPhone, and I love the automation of it all. Anything that makes it easier for the people working behind the counter of my favorite cafe, I'm down for. You also have to think about some of these systems. They're taking a cut. Is it higher or lower than what the credit card companies might offer before? It's like it's all kind of factored in somehow. But I think your point of the idea of tipping is we all do it because we feel it's the right thing to do, but it is a societal thing we decided we do. It's not legally, you're not obligated legally to do that.
Sure.
So taking kind of that like human back and forth, like I had a nice time, this is your tip. Yeah. Maybe is what kind of rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's Uber's done it fairly recently, adding on the sort of tip after the fact. And we could go on and on about this.
We could,
but let's not. Let's move on.
Let's move on. So this is it's great that we were talking about finances, because this can sort of dovetail into a different topic nicely. For anybody who looked at our intro Patreon video, by the way, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday, Heather and I made an intro video, a couple months ago now, and we made a joke about why people make drug purchases public on Venmo. And it's sort of a joke, but it's sort of not. I mean, anybody who uses Venmo has seen sort of the public reasons that somebody else will, give or receive money. And if you don't use the app, just a little background, whether it's a private conversation or a private transaction where only the two people know about it, or friends only, which like will pull in from like your Facebook group of friends, for example, or everybody public, like part of the the overall feed. You have to enter a reason for the transaction, which is probably just a legal thing.
Yeah.
So the thing about Venmo is that, and I've always noticed this, and at first I always thought it was fun to like, you make up like a ridiculous reason that you're giving someone $100. It's like hookers and blow,
totally.
And then it's like, that's actually kind of crazy that anybody who goes to Venmo.com would have seen that transaction on the public feed.
Sure.
Well, the thing about Venmo is it's public by default. So the app isn't forcing you to share details about what you bought, whether you're being serious or not being serious. But if you're not looking at your privacy settings, that's what you're sending out to the world until you're like, oh, let me dial it back.
Yeah, totally.
Like, oh, I don't want this to be public. And sometimes that goes for direct messages between two people. Now, the reason I bring this up is because a researcher based in Berlin analyzed more than 200 million public Venmo transactions made last year, so 2017. She was able to see the names of every user who hadn't changed their settings to private, as I mentioned, along with the dates of every transaction, the message sent with the payment, because, of course, there's that default thing. So this is not some data breach.
Yeah.
This is a researcher saying, I'm going to kind of conduct a project and see what I can find out about people just based on like where they move around, who they're sending or receiving money from regularly, because they don't realize that it's so easy for me to kind of spy in on that.
Yeah.
And obviously, when it comes to money, you can learn a lot about somebody. I mentioned I don't have a housekeeper. What if I paid the same person every, you'd start to be like, it's in that certain range. Like you can start to understand a little bit about somebody's behaviors.
Oh yeah. That's fascinating. Who is this Berlin person?
Well, I don't know her personally, but her project website is called Public by Default. And apparently named because when anyone makes a payment through the app, it's public unless that person has locked down their privacy settings. So this is I got the story from The Guardian, and it's interesting. The research is very complex, and we won't get into it all of it here. But she said, she was able to to confidently say, okay, this guy is a drug dealer, you know, who I've been following. You know, this couple broke up, right? Because there's like there's a furniture rental, and you know, you can kind of like, you know, the heart emojis stop coming. And then the third was a food cart. So it was like you could just sort of tell, oh, you're a business of some kind. And then she was able to figure out what it was. Really fascinating. It's not something that it's like, don't use Venmo, everybody panic. Not at all. It's know your privacy settings and know what you're sharing with the world, and know that people who care can know a lot about you, you know, even if you think it's locked down.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people don't really pay attention to that stuff, and I think it is important to pay attention to that stuff. And you know, thanks for letting us know, warning us all, Sarah, of the impending apocalypse.
or just, you know, hey, you know, I'll accept your Venmo payment. Just, you know, think about what you say.
Yeah, I know, for sure.
And the reason that you're sending me the money. Hey, we've been mentioning our patrons a couple times throughout the show, and just wanted to give a special official thanks to everybody who is paying us $1 per month, contributing $1 per month, which is how we're offering those of you who are watching the video version of the show. $5 a month, well, you get a bonus topic. In fact, in this show, poof, bonus topic.
Bonus topic.
Poof, you're a puppeteer. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going to record our first bonus topic version of the show today, in fact, because we have some $5 a month patrons. So thank you to everybody who's helping the ship out. We also have a Discord server for anybody who is contributing $10 a month, or obviously above. Any tier gets all the lower tiers as well, as is the way Patreon works. And we set that up just this week.
Yep.
And we are ready to chat.
Discord is so fun, you guys. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's actually new for me, and I couldn't believe. I'm like, well, I've been missing out on this. I mean, I love Slack, but it's totally different. I highly recommend it. Come join us, chat with us. It's super fun.
All of your options, and there are many. And for those of you who are new to Patreon, take a moment to click through a little bit, and I think you'll get a sense of some of our goals. Some of them are monetary. Some of our tiers that are, almost like goals for you rather than us. And it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun putting it together, and we also are super open-minded about how it evolves over time.
Totally.
We want to make the show for you, so whatever you want, within reason,
let us know.
We will do. I mean, I won't kill anybody for you,
no.
but
won't happen.
We would love your support. Just a quick, all your options, patreon.com/have-such-a-good-day. Check it out. Let us know what you think.
And speaking of, pre-show today, we did come up with some new tiers that we're very excited about. One in particular that's hot off the presses. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I came up with this idea. This is crazy. I don't know what's going to happen or if people are going to like it or not. But I am taking one for the team, and if you pay the money, I'm going to jump into the Pacific Ocean every single month
once a month.
Every single month, once a month, into the ocean out here in Venice, California.
Right. Luckily, the ocean is close to where I live.
That's kind of maybe why the idea came to me.
There's not a commute to be done, but the ocean jumping will be part of this.
And it'll be slightly different each time, so you'll have to see. But I'm doing it for the greater good of humanity. So sign up for this tier if you want to see me freeze my ass off.
Oh, yep. That's what Heather's doing, guys. This is one dedicated podcast host. Just a reminder, our audio version of Have Such a Good Day, it's free. We want it to remain free. We want you to enjoy the show, even if you can't contribute. HaveSuchAGoodDay.com has links to subscribe to whatever podcast app your heart desires. We've got them all covered. iTunes or SoundCloud or Google Play or Stitcher or Pocket Cast or whatever you prefer. We are there. And if you want to see us somewhere where I somehow have spaced it, let me know and I'll add you there too.
I highly doubt
or add
that, Sarah.
us there.
You know everything.
Well, I feel like I've been thorough, but the podcast world is still the Wild West.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think it's time to talk about sex, baby.
Oh, okay. Good one. I like it.
So I came across.
I mean, let's do it. It's one of my favorite topics.
It's interesting. So I just think about things and
you?
what's going on in the world and how people are reacting to things and what is evolving and how people are society is interacting with certain
Yes.
things that are happening in the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the ebb and flow of humanity.
Yeah. And I've noticed just, with the political climate and, there's an intense amount of, mainstream media that there's a lot of lies out there. But I do notice along with that, it's kind of the yin and the yang. There's always a yin and a yang.
Wait, Heather, just for a second. What you just said, with the mainstream media, there's a lot of lies out there, and then you just kind of went on. What does that mean?
Well, we all know.
We work in media,
Sure.
so it's like you're just saying in general.
In general, mainstream media, there's a lot of fake news.
Okay.
There's a lot of fake news.
Okay.
It's gotten worse over the last few years, especially with the current political situation.
Or even in the cases that news is not fake,
Yes.
it is often highly manipulative.
Exactly.
I think we can agree on that, no matter what side of the fence you're on.
Absolutely. And I won't go into any examples, but I will say that I have noticed that it does seem like people have gotten a little bit more open and honest about their own personal stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Hence the yin and the yang.
Sure.
It's like you've got
Social
one side of
media
things.
made that,
Yeah.
I think, a lot more comfortable for people.
Definitely. And so I thought this story was kind of interesting. There's, all kinds of like new, apps and lifestyles and things. I mean, we're in the modern age. So this one in particular it's called Touchpoint, and it's a monthly gathering where people talk about sex and kind of deeply personal sexual stories.
Doesn't Touchpoint sound very much like a Microsoft product?
Yes,
and
it
not
does.
a sex conference in the woods?
Yes. I'm not sure. They could have been a little more creative.
The point of touch or something.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
So founded by this guy, Jared Matthew Weiss. And the website reads, real people, talking sex, live music, powerful stories, and human connection. So I think what they're trying to do is, sexual education in schools has always, like a lot of subject matter in schools is sort of, it sort of skims the surface, and a lot of these sort of curriculum is still the same curriculum from 30 years ago. And so, a lot of conversations about sex, maybe 20 years ago have been a little more taboo. You talk about sex, you go to a sex class, you go to maybe a sex shop is a little more alternative. It's more considered alternative. So I think it's kind of cool that, this guy is sort of opening up the world a little bit to people to feel more comfortable into like a community where you can feel vulnerable and honest. You can ask questions. You can maybe have people help you solve your own problems. Like, for example, should I take ghosting personally? This might be a question you might ask in one of these sessions.
The answer is yes. That's why you got ghosted. It was personal.
It was very personal.
And I say this having been ghosted, it happens. Happens to everybody.
Oh, for sure.
And you're always
it's
like,
a thing.
Depending on where you are and the rest of your life, sometimes you're like, yeah, I get what you did, whatever. And, the other time you're like, what was it though?
Yeah, like really.
Now I'm obsessed with running into you so I can be like, what was it?
Okay, but what happened pre-ghosting? The word ghosting is sort of a new word, but ghosting happened. It just didn't have a term for it.
Well, and there were fewer tools, right?
Sure.
We don't, people are, whether or not you're using dating apps, everyone is familiar with the fact that there are handfuls of dating apps that people use on their mobile devices or, every day, all day. And that, I think that has a lot to do with it because it's like you're meeting people and like, maybe a handful of people in a short period of time, but it's like a simple text. It's based on a couple photos.
Yeah.
People are non-committal by nature.
Yep.
Myself included, it's like, sometimes you're just like, I don't know. Like, I just like, it doesn't even necessarily mean, oh, I hated you, but it was like, I decided specifically to stop talking to you.
Or maybe you accidentally forgot or like life is very busy. It's very complex.
Yeah.
For someone like you, though, maybe you wouldn't be interested in these communal sort of sex conversations, but you might be interested in the 12-part series that they do. They do educational videos that include graphic demonstrations of common masturbation techniques. You might be interested in that, Sarah.
Well, okay.
Consider it.
So
think about it.
When I kind of sighed heavily when you explained what these retreats were all about, it's not because I don't think that people should be open about sexuality, and especially if they feel like, yeah, their education was, you know, there's stuff to learn and it's safe space and everything. I personally, that's too touchy-feely for my comfort level, even though maybe I'd have a good time, but like my gut says I probably don't want to go to this. But it's not because it's not a good idea. But 12 common masturbation techniques, like if they're common, I probably know them.
And it's and they're actually graphic, which I don't know. I'm
like,
curious,
but they're, is it, okay, they're common, right? It's not like 7 types of common tomato varieties. It's like, are you really like, how do people masturbate? What's the most common?
It's a very good question.
I don't know. And I don't have the answer, but I'm going to go ahead and politely pass.
Okay, that's fine.
What do you think that you'd get something out of that? Would you feel?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't participate. I mean, I think it's interesting, like intellectually. Like I was interested in reading the story and seeing what people are up to for me, but I don't think I would participate
in stories or.
I mean, I'd maybe like, of course I'm willing to help people if they have problems, be it sexual or not. I mean,
how far would you go to help?
If someone really came to me and had a problem, I would do my best to help them. I would.
Well, that makes you a nice person.
I am a very nice person.
All right. Well, you mentioned that we had gotten into Discord.
Switching the old gears.
Discord, as everyone keeps reminding.
Discord?
Discord, I think.
Discord.
Like
Discord.
Emphasis on Discord.
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 Okay. All right.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but
I'll call it whatever I want to call it.
We've been using this as it's a chat app plus. There's some voice functionality that Heather and I have been trying out. There's really good integration with Patreon, which makes it like fun for us to get creative about adding certain Discord permissions to certain tiers that we have on Patreon. But we're keeping it simple for now. You know, $5 or $10. I'm sorry, you're in the Discord, but it's fairly new to me. I'm using it on one of my other shows, and the community has kind of built up like good momentum pretty quickly, which always tells me, oh, okay, this is like a cool new tool.
Sure.
But as many of you know, Slack is sort of the preferred workplace. There's HipChat. I mean, there are alternatives. Microsoft has them as well. Microsoft Teams.
Slack is fun.
But Slack has become sort of a darling of like, okay, everybody in our group, we'll get on Slack and that's how we talk to each other, which is what you and I do too.
Oh yeah, totally. I always associate gaming with Discord and Discord.
Well, I think it's sort of like the way that Twitch started.
Sure.
Twitch started as you're watching somebody else play a video game.
Yep.
There were other things, but that was kind of the core of it.
Yep.
And then it, got bought by
evolved.
Amazon, and now it's a huge company. In fact, a couple of people I know work there, and it's very much for live streaming more than it is about gaming. Although gaming is a component, but it ballooned beyond that kind of core audience.
Yeah.
So I think Discord is probably maybe it started as I've only started using it recently.
We had a lot of fun with it last night, actually. We like to tinker and figure things out. And this whole process of setting this podcast up actually has been a lot of tinkering, a lot of learning curve, a lot of kind of like, it's very technical. Patreon has a very specific, universe, and you have to figure it out. It's not like any other thing out there. Same with Discord. I mean, last night we tested out the kind of voice little chat room, and it's a trip. It's like you can
have text channels and voice channels.
Yeah.
So in our voice channel, we're just sort of like, it was like calling on Skype, but like way more instantaneous.
And kind of more like the person feels like they're in the room with you, which I thought was fascinating because I didn't even realize that Sarah was contacting me. It was like all of a sudden I heard her.
I cold called
hear
Heather
voices. I hear voices.
Discord, knowing that she was sitting in front of her computer because we were like already talking on Slack, and she's like, "Hello."
I was like, "Whoa!" It was creepy, and it comes out of your. Well, it was coming out of my right speaker of my computer.
Yeah. Well, because I think that they. Depending on if there were, if we were talking and I was playing a video, right? Like you might,
totally,
it would be like split stereo.
Very cool stuff, though.
Yeah,
very cool.
Really cool stuff. Speaking of cool, we've had a good show. It's not over yet. In fact, we have a bonus topic coming up for our $5 a month patrons. Thank you in advance, and we'll explain that when we get to it in a second. But we like to pride ourselves on. Certainly not being scientists, but caring. Like you said earlier about the way the world is going, what's changing. And sometimes it comes down to space versus sea.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can actually learn a lot about somebody by asking them the question, what do you prefer, space or sea?
I mean, I would prefer sea by a wide landslide.
Yeah, even all the like weird creatures that live down below. And I mean, you got to accept all of it.
I don't want to go to space.
Yeah,
I'm interested.
Yeah,
I'm happy that other people want to, and I want to know how it goes. I don't want to go.
Well, I'll keep you posted on the space stuff then.
Please do. You're a space versus
I would say
sea.
I'm a space person, and I think it's because I have a lot of like sort of physics-minded people in my family. So
it's
at
comfortable
a very
to you.
young age, like watched a lot of sci-fi. Like there was a lot of that in my household, and I think I really do believe that that's what steered me in that direction. For me, I don't necessarily want to go to space. I don't even want to go to the bottom of the ocean. I don't even know if you do, but I think space is fascinating, and I think the sea is fascinating too. It's not like I, hate the sea. I'm going to be jumping in the sea probably very soon here.
Well, it's Heather versus the sea
really
after
is.
all. So,
God.
It's a
Gotta
battle
love it.
to the death.
Yep.
I have bad news for you.
Uh-oh.
The ocean always wins.
Oh God, I thought you were going to say someone like paid for that tier already.
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No, but seriously.
I've got everything on airplane mode so that we don't have weird sounds coming out of either of our computers right now.
So I wanted to round us out though. I wanted to talk about this very, science is neat. I grew up with a bunch of scientists in my family, and I always am reading science news. It's part of my daily routine. So this one little story that I came across that a lot of you probably already seen, but they have found 12 new moons orbiting Jupiter, which is no surprise because it is a real behemoth of a planet.
How many moons did we know about before the latest 12?
Apparently, it has in the solar system. There are 79.
But that's the solar system. How many moons is
No.
Jupiter?
Okay, so 79. No. So it is circling our solar system's biggest planet to 79.
Oh, so that's the total
Yes.
now. So it was, 79 minus 12. 67. My gosh.
Oh boy.
Hey,
doing math on the spot.
Like I said, we're
always
not
tough.
scientists.
No, we are not.
But okay.
But
cool.
the neat thing about this is there's one little rogue moon in that 12 named Valetudo. It means the Roman goddess of health and hygiene. You probably already know that.
I've never heard that before.
But what's so neat is that it's orbiting in the opposite direction from the other nearby moons. And so an astronomer, this guy, Scott Shepard, he's a scientist at the Carnegie Institute for Science in Washington, says that he's like driving on the wrong side of the road. He's like a real little rebel, and I like him. You go, little guy. We're rooting for you.
Yeah, we are. The little moon that could.
The little moon that could.
He's just like, why is everybody going the wrong way? I'm going the right way. Cool little moon.
I love him.
And I guess because the orbits are kind of specific, he just passes them, but he's not
like,
ever
"Hey,
gonna.
guys."
I know. I like how it's a man.
Oh,
he's
it's
a little
boy.
guy.
He's a little boy. He's beating to his own drummer. And I like that because I do that. And I just really appreciate it.
Well, okay. I like that. I like that. That was a feel good story.
I think so too.
Good kicker.
He's a sweet little planet. He's a sweet little moon. That is.
Maybe I just decided to like space that much more.
I think you should. If you're gonna hang out with me, Sarah, I think you gotta like it, or we're gonna.
I'm just not going. I'm not going up there. I'm gonna stay in the sea where I belong. Like
Maybe you should jump in the ocean.
Maybe. Hey,
maybe I need to do something sea or space oriented.
I'm sorry, that was your idea, and you're sticking to it.
All right. Speaking of, I want to thank you guys again. Our amazing patrons. We got up to $100 in less than a day after our launch, which feels pretty great.
It's that first $100 where you're like, that's so. I mean, obviously, it's like we have goals that will require a lot more money, and we hope we get there, but. Just to see that like so quickly felt like, okay, we're on to something.
It was very heartwarming, and talking to people in Discord this morning and last night was just very heartwarming. For just $1 a month, we'll give you a video version.
Folks can
already
see us.
Free audio podcast. And we've got some lofty goals and a brand new tier, which you can check out at patreon.com/havesuchagoodday. Mm-hmm. Find Have Such a Good Day on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, literally any post app you can think of, or grab our subscribe link directly from havesuchagoodday.com. Yeah. Watch the show for $1 a month and enjoy.
It's funny. Because Have Such a Good Day is a mouthful.
It is.
It's a sentence. Have Such a Good Day. We're used to it, but it's HSGD. And now I'm trying to get used to that HSGD.
It's kind of a hard acronym. It doesn't come naturally.
It seems like like a vocal tool Mariah Carey might say over and over before her big show so that she's nice and loosened up.
I want to say HGSD. Like I want to flip it. I don't know. Maybe that's my dyslexia.
Have good such day?
Yeah. I mean that still kind of works.
I think people would get the gist.
Sarah, I think we've again said it all.
I think we have as well. Just a reminder for anybody at the Patreon level of $5 per month or more, of course, we will have a bonus topic as soon as we say goodbye here. And for anybody else who's signing off now, thank you so much for listening. Yeah. Those of you watching, we want you to have such a good day.
Yes, we really do. We implore you.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I am Heather Frank.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Woo!